seems the pain has temporarily subsided. You've looked back, and I realized just what I left behind. Are you still in disbelief? Somewhat. This picture is not pleasing to look at. I think there's times in my healing journey and other people's healing journey where it kind of feels like you're over it. Like, you know what, I'm good now. Like, I don't feel that pain anymore in this moment. And I found myself questioning a lot, like, during those times, oh, am I healed? Like, is this what it feels like to be healed? Will the same things, that used to bother me, will they bother me now? But it was always short lived. I noticed with the healing process that you might feel like you're over it one day, and then the next day it's like you're at the beginning, and it's just something you have to come to terms with. My therapist, she's really great. She told me that healing is not linear, and she's right. I've experienced it firsthand. But during those moments where you can look back at what you went through, I would say it's like you get more clarity with it, because, when you go through like traumatic experiences that you need to heal from, it's hard to look back at those experiences without judgment and bias. But during these moments, you can kind of do that. And when I looked back, I seen everything for what it was. And I just realized that it was like, wow, what the hell? Like, that's terrible. Why would I want to go through that again? Because, I still long for this person. And it's like, why would I want to go through that again? Like, that was awful. And I made it through that? Like, what? I feel like I was played for a fool. Show yourself grace. I think you attempted to say this once before. Our pact changed everything. Tell me more. How fair do you think it is to blame yourself while holding knowledge you lacked before? Knowledge that would have stopped me from making mistakes back then. This is a really important thing to keep in mind. When you do look back at yourself in those moments, you have to I know it's hard. You have to try to refrain from being judgmental, because in a way you well, not really in a way, you know everything now. But back then, you didn't know that. You didn't know anything. So it's just so unfair to look back with all this newfound knowledge. Maybe you healed a decent amount, and you look back and you're like, oh, that was so fucking stupid. Like, why would I go through that? Like, why would I do that? Why would I stay that long? It's just gonna make yourself feel worse, and you don't deserve that. The you in the past, as naive as you may have been, you don't deserve to be judged so harshly, especially because you didn't know. You were in a situation where you thought things were good, but they weren't. Yeah. It's unfair. I had so much love to give. It's unfair. I can't put these pieces together. It's unfair. How do I let this go? Remind yourself why you let go in the first place. I've let go already, in your own way. I think when it comes to healing and a lot of a lot of things in general, you don't really notice the progress. I think it's more of like other people will. I notice that a lot with like results from the gym, for example. I would I would just be going. I wouldn't think I'm making any progress. I wouldn't think I look any bigger, any more defined. But then someone would see me and it's like, "Oh, wow, you've been going to the gym?" Like, "Oh, wow, you're getting bigger." And I'd be like, "Oh, I guess I am." So it's really hard for you to notice the progress yourself, but in reality, you've went way further than you thought. You've let go of a lot that you don't even realize. And whenever this is brought to your attention, whether it be by someone else or yourself, you should always try to keep it in mind, to remember it. Because there will be times where you feel like, oh, I didn't heal at all. I'm back to square one. I think one of the most important things I learned about healing is that the memories stay. You can't get rid of them. If anything, they might fade on their own, but what really matters is your reaction to them. And what you notice is that over time, you don't react the same way you did before, because reacting kind of causes things to stick. So, those moments where you're like, oh, I miss this person so much. Like, oh, I love them. Like, what happened? Like, why do we have to be like this? Or you get like a memory of like the time you spent together and you just makes you really sad and you start longing again. It's going to cause it to stick. The best thing that you can do is try to just remain indifferent and let it pass. Don't let it derail you. Keep yourself grounded in the moment and just say to yourself, you know what? Like, I'm letting this go. Me not reacting to this is me letting this go. I guess that's just who he was. When you laughed, when we intertwined, when you locked lips, when we said our goodbyes, when he did all the things that hurt you, when we made all of those memories. That's just who he was. In my situation, I was incredibly naive. I, as people say, I had rose colored glasses on, but they were very much so glued to my face where I didn't see any signs. And if I did, I would ignore them in a way or like compromise a lot. But looking back, I'm just like, oh, like after everyone knew but me, which was like a really frustrating thing. Everybody knew who my ex was but me. Like it was so obvious to everyone but me. And I was just like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, you just knew? Because they would just be guessing things. And then whenever I would like interact with him again, they would be right. Or if I would analyze and go back into the past and be like, holy crap, they told me he would do this. They told me he did this. He's the type of person to do this. And I just realized that in all the moments where I thought he wasn't who he actually was, the entire time he was. Like the entire time he was himself. And that sounds like drop dead obvious, but in my situation, I didn't think he was that type of person. I had this version of him in my head and then, rose colored glasses. So I would just like, oh, like, like he would never do those things. Like, oh no, he's good. He's just, he has problems, and, I can try to help him. I would always try to fix things. I would always try to fix him. And it wasn't healthy. But I did do my best. But things ended. And I guess that's just the way things go sometimes. I think one of the most important things you can do is listen to someone when they tell you who they are. Pay attention to their actions, not their words. Words sometimes tell you, but everybody can, occasionally do sweet talk, capable of lying as well. Just watch what they do. Because most of the time, the signs are already there. And you just need to be the one to really look for them. Because if you don't look for them, you're not going to find them, If you don't even think they exist, then you're surely not going to find them. And that's something that I had to go through. The good moments don't change much, do they? No. His damage remains. Don't fret. You dodged a bullet. So, me dodging a bullet is something my mom told me a lot. I would tell her everything that happened, like she knows everything. And she was just like, the type of person he is, you dodged a bullet. And every time I go back and look into our relationship, our interactions, just his personality, his habits, I was like, oh shit, I did. Like I really did. But even like after we broke up, when we interacted, it was just like he just proves all of it. Like he was never one to really like, I guess, hide himself. Like he was just himself, and it caused the relationship to end basically. I just don't. I still do care about him a lot, and I don't want to make it seem like he's like this terrible, awful person. I just think he just has so many problems that I can't solve. I can't help him solve them. And as of right now, he hasn't shown me that he's changed or sees me in a different light. So it's kind of just like, this is the way things are now. But I do just want to let everyone know, whoever comes across this video, you really shouldn't wait for anyone. I'm really just attached to the potential that he has. Like, I've talked to him recently and he's like trying to do improvements and stuff, but ultimately he just did something and I was like, no, like you don't actually value me. You're still thinking about yourself. So just don't get attached to the idea of what they could be. Just focus on what they are now. That's the best thing you can do. Just ground yourself in reality. That's really what it is. Ground yourself in reality. Peachy, spot dodge. Spot dodge. Dodge the bullet.